We're in session and cause number 330346, case of style of state of Texas versus Odessa L. Armstrong or Odessa Laverne Armstrong. Ms. Armstrong, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Ms. Armstrong?
Today.
Oh, okay. We hope that you can recover from that toothache. I know that's real painful. Now, Ms. Armstrong, I have here a document that is titled Judge Explanation Defendants Without an Attorney. And do you recognize this document?
What did you say?
It says, it's the name of it is Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without an Attorney. Do you recognize this document? You need to come up a little closer to see it. You could,
Filled it out.
yes,
Mhm.
that was my question. So you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on this document?
Yes, sir.
And are these your initials on the line that states I will want to apply for court-appointed attorney?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, Ms. Armstrong, I also have before me a document that is titled Affidavit of Indigence. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 2 of this document, Ms. Armstrong, is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Armstrong, prior to signing and initialing these documents that I have just mentioned to you, did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
And did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir.
Or not? Is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir. I just didn't include food stamp amount.
Okay.
My gross income.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, everything is correct
Mhm.
to the
Yes,
best of your
sir.
knowledge. Okay. So, Ms. Armstrong, based on the information that you have provided to us, you are a automatic qualifier. What that basically means is you meet the eligibility requirements for the appointment of a court-appointed attorney. And so your attorney that will be appointed to represent you in this case is a lawyer by the name of Mr. Brent Turk. Now, our court coordinator is going to give you all the information that you need on how Mr. Turk, how you can contact Mr. Turk and how Mr. Turk is also going to contact you. Okay? I missed it. Okay. Ms. Armstrong, please stand on the X, 4X, and our court coordinator will help you. Okay, so, let's see, this is clause number 330334, state of Texas versus Anthony Hernandez. And Mr. Hernandez, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how you doing, Mr. Hernandez?
Very good.
That's good. Okay, now, Mr. Hernandez, I'm looking at the information that you provided on this affidavit of indigence. And is everything in this document, affidavit of indigence, true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Now, you stated that the utilities is a estimate.
Yes, sir.
Now, so you're gonna have you have electric, is that correct?
Yes.
Then do you have gas?
No, yes.
And you're gonna have a water bill,
Yes, sir.
okay? So y'all just moved in?
Yes, sir. Over the weekends.
Oh, okay,
Saturday.
okay. Now, your food, I was looking at your food expenses. You said it's, I'll just do this to give you an idea. The amount that you said is like 200 a month, about 30. So that's about $6 a day.
Yes, sir.
That's what you're saying, your food is $6 a day?
Yeah, usually when I go shopping, I go HEB and I just set myself a budget for the month, $200. I don't really buy like fancy stuff. I'll get leg quarters, eggs, tortillas.
So you stay within that budget is what you're saying?
Yes, sir. I don't eat out fast food or.
Right. Okay.
Just basic.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. Okay. Now, you don't have a home phone, right?
No, sir.
Okay. No probation, no medical expenses. It appears that you qualify based on your. Oh. You fell off nothing on that page.
Sure.
Okay.
I can just text you.
Sorry about that.
Okay. fine. Thank you.
So now, Mr. Hernandez, I have before me judge's explanation for defendants without an attorney. You recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Is that your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes,
And all those your initials on the line says, I want to apply for a court-appointed attorney.
Yes, sir.
And the document that is titled Affidavit of Indigence, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And on page 2 of the same document, Mr. Hernandez, is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hernandez, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did you read the documents? And is everything true and correct in these documents? Okay, Mr. Hernandez, you meet the eligibility requirements from the Department of a court-appointed attorney. And your attorney, Mr. Hernandez, that will be appointed to represent you is Mr. Joe. Okay, Mr. Joel Vasquez. Okay, Mr. Hernandez. Please stand on the 4X. Hold on a minute. Okay, good morning. Your full name is Desmond D. Henry.
Yes, sir. So before we start, I wanted to try to get my case transferred to veteran court, but they had it on paper.
Okay, just hold on a minute.
Yes, sir.
This is cause number 329898. Oh, we got 3. Oh, yeah, okay, Mr. Henry, you have 2 cases.
Yes, sir.
First case is cause number 329838. And the second case is cause number 329898. Okay, now, Mr. Henry, I have before me a document that's titled Judge's Explanation of Rights and Defense without Attorney. You recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
And are these your initials on the line stating that you want to apply for court-appointed attorney?
Yes, sir.
Also, I have before me. They signed a waiver too. Also, I have before me a document that is titled Affidavit of Indigence. You recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 2 of the same document, Mr. Henry, are these your initials?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Henry, prior to signing initially these documents that I have just mentioned, did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir.
Is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Henry,
Yes, sir.
I reviewed your affidavit of indigence. And based on the information that you provided, you meet the eligibility requirements for the appointment of a court-appointed attorney. And your attorney in this case is Mr. John West. Our court coordinator will give you the information on how to contact Mr. West. And Mr. West will also be given information on how to contact you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Henry,
Yes, sir.
you're gonna stand on the 4X in front of our court coordinator.
Yes, sir.
And before you leave, we're gonna try to get you some information about the Veterans Court.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. This is our Desmond. Henry. Jokisha Henry, excuse me, Harvey. Okay, now your full name is Jokisha Alexis Harvey.
Harvey Colbert, yes, sir.
Okay, I see another one is also known as Jokisha Alexis Harvey Colbert.
That's me.
Okay, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. Now, Ms. Harvey, I see that you wanted to waive your right to an attorney to represent yourself, and you signed a waiver of counsel. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the documents that I'm showing you, you recognize them?
Yes, sir.
And are these your initials and signatures on these documents?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, Ms. Maxey,
Yes, Judge. I spoke with Ms. Harvey and it looks like we've come to an agreement that she'll pay a fine. And so if we could get a 45-day reset for her
Okay.
to have some time to get that together.
okay, give us the date.
No, 12/10.
Th- Now, we can do November 29th or December 10th. Which date would you prefer?
November the 29th.
Hmm?
November the 29th would probably be better. I'm sorry.
November the 29th?
Yes.
Okay, we'll reset your case for November the 29th. Give you opportunity to pay your fine and court costs on that day,
Yes, sir.
okay? Now, Ms. Harvey, you can stand on the 4X to get your case reset. Oh, well,
It's okay, I'm gonna go ahead because you're.
oh, okay. We're in session in cause number 322-582. Case is style of State of Texas versus Eddie Dwight Davis. Mr. Davis, would you please come forward? Your full name is Eddie Dwight Davis?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Davis, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Davis, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may put your hand down. How you doing, Mr. Davis?
I'm doing all right.
That's good. Mr. Davis, now, you have a right to have a court reporter here to take down everything that's being said in court. Or you could waive your right to have a court reporter. Do you waive your right? Do you need me to explain that to you again?
No, you wait.
Waive it? Okay. Now, Mr. Davis, I have before me an information that alleges that on or about March 12, 2019, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed to Class B misdemeanor offense of possession of marijuana. Mr. Davis, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to discharge Mr. Davis, how do you plead guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Yes,
Now, you're pleading guilty freely and voluntarily,
yes, sir.
and are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Davis, I have before me a document that is titled the misdemeanor plea admonishment. Mr. Davis, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, Mr. Davis, are these your initials? First set of initials is on a line next to a box that says check guilty.
Yes, sir.
And on the second line, the next set of initials is on a line under a paragraph that is titled discovery admonishment. And that line states, I do not wish to request discovery of the evidence. I waive my right to request discovery in the case, and I choose to enter a plea of guilty or no contest. Are these your initials?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of this same document, Mr. Davis, there's a signature above the line that's titled defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
On the next document, which is titled trial court certification to defendant's right of appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Is this your signature above the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
There are 2 boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box states that you're waiving, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Davis, prior to signing and initialing these documents that I've just mentioned, did you have an opportunity to review the documents?
Yes, sir.
And did you review the documents?
Yes, sir.
And did you understand what you reviewed?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer State's Exhibit number 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Davis, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. That's the document that is the misdemeanor plea admonishment that you acknowledged earlier. On page 2 of this document, you acknowledged that these were your initials. And on page 3 of this document, you acknowledged that this was your signature. The state would like to use this document as evidence against you in this case. It is all right for the state to use this document as evidence in your case.
Yes, sir.
Okay, no objections. State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Davis, is there any evidence that you are currently mentally incompetent to stand trial? Do you have any mental issues?
No, no. Sir.
Okay, you understand what's going on in your case?
Yes, sir.
And you understanding that you entered a plea of guilty to the charge of possession of marijuana?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Mr. Davis, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you're mentally competent to stand trial. I'll also find that your plea of guilty and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I'll also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
The agreement is for 3 days county jail with credit for time served, tax and return of the court costs.
Mr. Davis, the state is offering that you serve 3 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not have to serve any more time in the Jefferson County Jail because you've already served 3 days in jail. Therefore, you'll be given credit for time served. The court cost in this case is $352, but you will not have to pay the court cost because the time that you spent in jail has already paid it off. Therefore, the court cost will be taxed and returned. Mr. Davis, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Davis, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Davis, would you please stand on the X in front of our clerk? Follow her directions and right here. Yeah, and once you've finished following her directions, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I get your right thumb?
Amber Resendez.
This was your copy and you're free to go. You're welcome.
We're in session and calls number 326-590. The case is styled the state of Texas versus Amber Rose Resendez. Is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Ms. Resendez?
I'm doing well, yourself?
I'm doing fine, thanks for asking. Ms. Resendez, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Resendez, do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Resendez, you may put your hand up. Now, Ms. Resendez, you have a right to have a court reporter in the court to take down everything that is being said. However, you can waive or give up that right to have a court reporter. Do you waive your right to have a court reporter?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Ms. Resendez, I have before me a document that is titled Information. In this information, it alleges that on or about January 27 of 2020, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed to Class B misdemeanor offense of theft. Ms. Resendez, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Ms. Resendez, how do you plead guilty? Not guilty or no contest?
Guilty.
Now, you're pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Resendez, I have before me another document. This document is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. Also labeled as State's Exhibit 1. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, Ms. Resendez, there are a set of initials, 2 sets of initials. The first set of initials is on a line next to a box that says check guilty. Are these your initials? Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
And the second set of initials states that you do not request discovery and you waive your right to request discovery in this case, and you're going to enter a plea of guilty and no contest. Are these your initials on this document as well?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of this same document, Ms. Resendez, there is a signature above the line that's titled defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
On the next document, which is titled trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Is that your signature above the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
There are 2 boxes that's checked at the top of the document. The first box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have the right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box states that you're waiving your right to appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Resendez, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did you have an opportunity to read the documents?
Yes, sir.
And did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer State's 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Resendez, I have before me State's Exhibit 1. That's the document that, the first document that you have acknowledged. It is also the same document that have your initials on page 2 and your signature on page 3. The state would like to use this document as evidence against you in your case. Is it all right for the state to use this document as evidence in your case?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no objection, State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Now, Ms. Resendez, is there any evidence that you are currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir.
Ms. Resendez, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
The agreement is for 1 year deferred probation, a $400 fine, 40 hours community service, and a step class.
Okay, Ms. Resendez, the state is offering that you serve 1 year deferred adjudicated probation. And during this 1-year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $400 plus court costs of $352, which comes to a total of fine and court costs of $752. You will also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a year analysis fee of $15 each month. Now, the total amount that you would have to pay each month in monthly installments is $145 per month. Will you be able to pay the $145 each month?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Resendez, you will also be required to perform 40 hours of community service and attend and complete a theft class, and you will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of this probation. Mr. Resendez, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Resendez, I will defer a finding of guilt and place you on probation. Place you on deferred adjudicated probation for 1 year with the agreements that you have agreed to. Now, Ms. Resendez, if you successfully complete the probationary period, this case will be dismissed. It will not appear on your record as conviction, and you may qualify for non-disclosure. And you can talk to an attorney who is quite competent in non-disclosures so that you can get the information that you need to determine whether or not you want to get a non-disclosure, okay? Now, Ms. Resendez, you're gonna stand on the X in front of our court clerk, right, the first X. And we're gonna follow her directions. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go and you'll have a blessed day. Thank you.
Can I get your right thumbprint?
Look at you, the lines on the wall. So it hurt my
The
eye.
wood
Oh.
on the wall.
Oh,
I was blinking so much.
oh,
She said the lines up here.
oh, I didn't know that.
Never thought of it.
Yeah.
It hurt my eyes.
Let's see.
There's a signature pad right here. If you can sign for me, you won't see it, but I will. This is Miss. Oh. George, your hand for me? Do you swear you have never been convicted or given deferred adjudication or regular probation for a misdemeanor or felony in any other state or this state? Do you have any other pending charges against you that you know of? Once you leave here, you ought to report to probation. This is the map telling you how to get there. Okay?
Okay, Stormy Saggart. Your full name is Stormy Saggart, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Saggart, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Saggart, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may put your hand down. How you doing, Ms. Saggart?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Ms. Saggart, you have a right to have a court reporter to dictate everything that is being said in the courtroom. Do you waive your right to have a court reporter?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Saggart, I have before me an information that alleges that on or about February 5th, 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class B misdemeanor offense of criminal trespass.
Yes, sir.
You know what? I never did. And Ms. Saggart, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to these charges, Ms. Saggart, how do you plead guilty? Not guilty, no contest. Now, Ms. Saggart, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Ms. Saggart, now let me do this here. I have some documents in front of me. First document is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without an Attorney. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Are these your initials on the line stating that I want to represent myself and waive my right to an attorney? And is that your signature on the line that's titled defendant? And also, this is a document that's titled waiver of counsel for purposes of entering a guilty plea. You recognize this document, and is that your signature on this document?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Faggett, I also have before me a document that is titled misdemeanor plea admonishments, which is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. You recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of the same document, there are two sets of initials. First set of initials is on the line that's titled guilty. The second set of initials is on a line under a paragraph that's titled discovery admonishments. And it's on a line that states, I do not request discovery, and I waive my right to request discovery of the evidence in this case and enter a plea of guilty and no contest. And are these your initials? On page 3 of this same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, which is titled trial court certification, defendant's right of appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
And there are two boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes,
The
sir.
second box states that you're waiving your right to appeal, which means you're giving up your right to appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And now, Ms. Faggett, prior to signing and initialing all of these documents that I've mentioned, did you have an opportunity to read the documents? And did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct
Yes, sir.
to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State, you like to offer State's Exhibit Number 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Faggett, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State's Exhibit Number 1 is the first document or the third document that you acknowledge that, this is the same document that have your initials on page 2 and your signature on page 3.
Yes, sir.
The state would like to use this document as evidence against you in this case. Is it all right for the state to use this document as evidence in your case?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no objection. State's Exhibit Number 1 will be admitted. Ms. Faggett, is there any evidence that you're currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir.
Okay, Ms. Faggett, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea of guilty and waivers are freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
The agreement is for 7 days county jail with credit for time served, tax and retire the court costs.
Ms. Faggett, the state is offering that you serve 7 days in the Jefferson County Jail, but you will not have to serve any more time in the Jefferson County Jail because you've already served 7 days in Jefferson County Jail. Therefore, you'll be given credit for time served.
Yes, sir.
The court cost in this case, Ms. Faggett, is $337, but you will not have to pay the $337 because the time that you spent in jail has already paid it off. Therefore, the court costs will be taxed and retired. Now, Ms. Faggett, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Faggett, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Ms. Faggett, please stand on the X nearest to you, stand in front of the court clerk. And once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day.
Yes, sir. Can I get your lights on first?
Put the cost number on here. 329,360.
This is just your copy.
All right. You have a blessed day.